Welcome, everyone, to our full moon ceremony. Tonight, we welcome the sun in the sign of Libra. And at the moment of the full moon, there's an opposition to the moon, which is in the sign of Aries. So again, we have two different energies to blend this month, a Libra sun and an Aries moon. And I have to say that this is going to be another tumultuous couple of months. But then looking back at the full moons this year, I can't even remember a full moon where I didn't say it was going to be a tumultuous month. It's been that kind of a year, very chaotic and anxiety producing, I think, for almost everyone. So we have another super full moon this month, meaning the moon is very, very close to the earth. So we know that that means that our emotional bodies will be triggered. And you can certainly see this playing out in the world stage right now. So make sure you watch your emotional responses and see if you can pause before you react and just take some breaths and let your emotional body get settled before you respond. Also, we have some important aspects to consider. This is from an astrologer, Pam Young-Hans, at North Point Journal. You can check her website because she puts out a weekly email of the astrological energies for that particular week. So it's a good way to keep up to date with what's going on week by week. But here's what she says about this full moon. Quote, "The life-changing effects of this Thursday's full moon are already being felt due to the involvement of several other planets in this lunation. One of those planets is powerful Pluto, which is at full strength right now, since it just stationed direct on October 12th. I'm calling this a dragonfly moon because dragonfly symbolizes change, transformation, and personal growth. Dragonfly also represents the ability to let go of the past, to emerge stronger and more resilient after trauma, and to be open to new beginnings. This is very similar to the process of death and rebirth that Pluto shepherds us through. The full moon peaks at 4:26 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time on Thursday, October 17th. At the time of the lunation, the moon will be at 24 degrees Aries, opposite the sun at the exact same degree of Libra. The luminaries will be square, both Mars in Cancer and Pluto in Capricorn, forming a configuration called a cardinal grand cross, and also affecting the effects of the upcoming Mars-Pluto opposition. A grand cross involves planets in 4 different signs that do not relate well to each other. In this case, the moon is in independent, assertive Aries. The sun is in social, accommodating Libra. Mars is in sensitive, protective Cancer. And Pluto is in ambitious, authoritative Capricorn. To understand the effects of the Grand Cross, visualize 4 horses, all harnessed to the same wagon, but pulling in 4 different directions. I can feel this in my own life right now. We can imagine the intensity and the struggle, the tension and the resistance as each horse tries mightily to move the wagon in the direction it is facing. Symptoms of a Grand Cross include a tendency to be impatient, reckless, impulsive, aggressive, or confrontational. It is not the best time to take action or make decisions, since emotion and adrenaline is very high. To navigate this full moon successfully, we will want to cultivate the qualities of patience, self-discipline, internal fortitude, endurance, and cooperation. The Mars-Pluto opposition that is being triggered through this week's full moon will be exact 3 times The first pass of this aspect is just 2 weeks away on November 3rd, 2 days before the election. The second and third passes occur on January 2nd and April 26th of next year. The November opposition is especially significant because it occurs while Pluto is still in Capricorn at the final degree of this sign. The aspect will play a major role in achieving Pluto's long-term goal of dismantling old social and political structures that are no longer functional. This must be completed if we are to enter the Pluto in Aquarius years with greater freedom to create the new. As Pluto opposes Mars in Cancer, we expect to see a battle of wills, competition, and conflict, and extreme or underhanded efforts to dominate or take control. With this aspect, what has been hidden comes to the surface so that it loses its power to control us from behind the scenes. With Mars and Pluto strongly involved in Thursday's full moon, events that occur this week are integral threads in a larger tapestry that will be woven over the next 2 to 4 weeks. They also will relate in some way to a longer-term process that will take several months to complete, perhaps not until the final Mars-Pluto opposition in late April of 2025. So the astrology is telling us, sorry, that was the end of the quote. So this is me now. So the astrology is telling us that this month or so will be very tumultuous. I'm sure we can all relate to that feeling as the election draws nearer, especially the efforts to dominate, to take control. We can only hope that what has been hidden does come to the surface so that it loses its power to control us from behind the scenes. Let's talk now a bit about Libra. Libra's symbol is the scales, and that symbol traces back to the beginning of recorded history. In ancient Egypt, it was believed that the heart of the deceased was put on one side of the scales and the feather of truth on the other side. If the scales tipped on either side, the soul had to reincarnate. Only if the scales remained perfectly balanced would the deceased be assured they would not have to reincarnate. Early Christians considered Libra an emblem of Archangel Michael, who wields the sword of truth. Described as the razor's edge path in the Upanishads and as the middle way in Buddhism, Libra's spiritual quest is the reconciliation of opposites, which occurs in the heart, not the mind. When our hearts are open, we realize our connection with equality, our connection and equality with all life. When our hearts are closed, we are imprisoned in the illusion of duality and separation. At its highest level, Libra represents the spiritual truth that we are all equal, all divine, all worthy of respect and appreciation. Now let's talk for a bit more about this full moon. Full moons always highlight the shadow side of each side, the lunar nature, meaning the personality, as well as its spiritual task, the soul nature. Aries is the sign opposite to Libra, and its shadow manifests as fierce independence. I don't need anyone. I can do this myself. Aries is all about me and mine, and there isn't much awareness of the impact upon others. He shoots first and asks questions later. Libra's shadow is just the opposite. Libra wants harmony at all costs, even if it means sacrificing himself. The spiritual task of Aries is to become more inclusive. And for Libra, it's about finding the center and taking a stand there. Here I stand. Some describe an evolved Libra as an Aries who has gone to charm school. So Libra again is all about balance and equilibrium and finding the middle way. And the mantra for Libra is, I choose the way that leads between the two great lines of force. The two great lines of force represent the opposites that must be harmonized. For example, the polarity of the right in politics and the left. Harmonized, maybe they can become an acknowledgement that we are all part of the human family. Or the polarity between love and hate. That can harmonize into intelligent understanding. For the Libra native, choice is the key word. On the level of the personality, he chooses harmony and peace at almost any cost. He's sensitive to his environment, and so if there is any disruption or fluctuation in that environment, he loses his balance. He loses his energy. His energy goes to everyone else. He must learn to identify with the midpoint, to be in his center and react with flexibility. He's often torn by the decisions he must make, and this creates disruption in his system. You might say he's at war with all the different parts of himself, but it is through the disruptions and the unevenness that Libra develops balance. For many lifetimes, the Libran personality might vacillate between the two polarities. They might swing in one direction fully and then the other with just as much commitment. They may feel one way and then the other. They search for balance. Again, the most important word for Libra is choice, as I've mentioned. If Libra is willing to choose with clarity and commitment the noble middle path, there will be tremendous support as he or she walks the way. All manner of people and events will conspire to support that choice. The danger zone is in the endless oscillation between the extremes. So this month, make decisions, jump off the fence, grab someone's hand, head down a noble path, show up fully, offer up your radical, full, authentic self again and again and again. Librans have such a love of peace that they are always ready to compromise. Compromise is not a bad thing, but it must be based on discernment. If the Libran native is compromising just because he doesn't want to feel tension or discomfort, then that's different than discernment, where he is using his mind and his heart together to make a choice. That is what the Buddhists call right action, using the intellect and the heart to make the right choice. So think about that carefully. Are you making compromises just because it's uncomfortable to be in conflict and you want peace? Or can you bring your heart and your mind together and discern the right choice from there? Libra is an air sign, so he has easy access to his mental energy. When he wants too much to be fair to everyone and doesn't ever want to cause pain, he dissipates his will, and it's hard for him to take a stand. I often imagine the indecisive Libran standing on a tightrope, unsure how to proceed. He feels safe and secure in the position he has achieved, but he's not moving forward. He's reached a certain level of equilibrium where he is, but without further movement, he remains stuck. Equilibrium is not about passivity. The task is to risk taking the next step. Risk offending someone or disappointing someone. If he is ever to get to the other side, he must move his body onto the next part of the tightrope Once there, he can establish a new equilibrium. Every constellation is connected to a part of the physical body, and Libra rules the diaphragm. So isn't it interesting that on the physical body, the diaphragm is seen as the midpoint? And the challenge for Libra is to live at that midpoint, the still place at the center that balances and harmonizes the opposites. Libra is also about right relationship. It's a sign of duality. There is I and there is the other. This creates polarity. In contrast to its opposite sign, Aries, whose focus is only on the I. Right relationship for the evolved Libran means that there is perfect equilibrium between I and the other. When he can give both polarities equal attention, then equilibrium is achieved. Anytime we are attached to one polarity or the other, our choices become limited. We become crystallized in that position, and movement becomes difficult. Healthy choice involves a certain amount of detachment from the emotional pull, a stepping back to look at the situation dispassionately, and from that center point of balance within ourselves, we can make a choice about where we want to put our energies. For the evolved Libran disciple, the polarities are between the soul and the personality. How do we achieve a midpoint here? First, we must discern between the pull of the personality and the pull of the soul. The personality will always focus on its desires, its wants, its needs. It's always self-referencing. What do I want? What do I need? What do I desire? The call of the soul is towards spiritual aspiration. How can I reach the highest state of consciousness possible so that I may be of greater service to the world? So how do we reach the midpoint? First, all of the elements within the personality must become stabilized. All pairs of opposites of an emotional nature must become equalized. Then the Libran can live according to the soul's directive. Walking the middle path means to stabilize and harmonize the polarities. One of the ruling signs of Libra is Venus. Venus can help heal the imbalances within the Libran personality because she brings the energy of harmony, beauty, grace, and love. Calling in the Venusian energy this month will assist us in balancing the disparate parts of ourselves. This month, our challenge then is to clean up any imbalances within us, to stabilize our emotional life, and to notice where we might be overly identified with an extreme position. Especially in this political environment where there is so much division, the polarities become very evident. There's such an identification with us versus them, with the other. Where do we stand in this division? Is there a middle way to be found here? What is our relationship to the other side? What is the midpoint for us? Can we invoke the inclusive love of Venus to help us remember that we are all part of the human family? Let us prepare now for meditation. Tonight we will begin with an alignment, and then I will ask you to take some quiet time to contemplate a few questions that have to do with the energies of this month. After several minutes of silence, I will ring the bell to bring you back to the room. Now make sure you have a comfortable place to sit. or lie. Perhaps your feet are on the floor with your back straight, but no strain, feeling gentle and relaxed. Taking a few deep breaths, notice the softness that flows into the body. This gentle letting go energy of releasing all that constricts. Now begin to put your attention on the breath, breathing rhythmically, easily letting all tension float away on each exhalation. Feel the body sink into relaxation, the mind beginning to quiet, and the emotional body becoming still. Let us imagine that we are connected to the energies of Libra. The color for Libra is yellow. So take a few minutes now to breathe that color into your heart. Feel your heart being filled with the color and the energies of Libra, and affirm that you are willing to receive these energies into your being. Now let us think about this energy we are accepting. Yellow represents a creative energy. It frees us from restriction and allows us to be inspired. As we focus our attention on the energies of this Libra full moon, we open ourselves to be blessed and touched by its outpouring. Now, feeling your bodies filled with this sacred energy, focus your attention on the area right above the head. Visualize there a radiant ball of light. Imagine this light is the energy of your soul. The light contains the highest wisdom that you have within you. In whatever way feels right to you, imagine you are connecting to this soul light. Thinking about the energies of Libra and the focus on equality, freedom, and authenticity, take a few minutes now to examine your close relationships. Ponder on how many of these relationships reflect the Libran quality of balance. Are they reciprocal? Do you receive as much as you give? Are you able to be your true, authentic self in them? We'll pause for just a few moments while we think on these things. How can you bring a sense of power and strength into your relationships so that you can stand incorruptibly in your own center and not give your power away? Are you willing to release and let go of those relationships that are not reciprocal, that do not serve your highest good, that have outlived their usefulness? Consider now your relationship to the larger picture, to the earth, to your environment, to the unseen worlds. Are you willing to engage in a co-creative relationship with those aspects of your life? So you are not just receiving from the earth, receiving guidance and help from the subtle worlds, but are willing to do your share to give back, to take some action so that you are helping to create more balance. Let us close now with a powerful prayer for our country as we enter these last few weeks before the election. May the highest good, or the greatest number, manifest in accordance with the divine plan. I want to say that again. May the highest good, or the greatest number, manifest in accordance with the divine plan. I try to remember to say this several times during the day. Bring yourselves gently back now, feeling grounded and aligned. And when you are ready, open your eyes. We're going to close with the mantra of unification. I think these words will help us create right relationship with all of humanity. The souls of humanity are one, and I am one with them. I seek to love, not hate. I seek to serve and not exact due service. I seek to heal, not hurt. Let pain bring due reward of light and love. Let the soul control the outer form and life and all events, and bring to light the love that underlies the happenings of the time. Let vision come and insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union demonstrate and outer cleavages be gone. Let love prevail. Let people everywhere love. Thank you, my friends. Namaste.